Here's another fascinating case. A guy was casually filming himself as he went about his work, apparently pulling a solo shift late at night. Everything around him seemed completely unremarkable at first, but then, just a short while later, something remarkable happened. His camera happened to catch a long-haired figure drifting silently past a doorway. At that point, the man had absolutely no idea anything was there. He was entirely absorbed in what he was doing. It wasn't until he went back through the recording that he noticed the eerie shape. Now, if you try to look at this rationally, there's an argument to be made that the figure might simply have been another person, a friend stopping by, or maybe whoever owned the place. May 20th, 2020, a man monitoring his ailing mother through a baby cam notices her gazing fixedly at something on the ceiling above her.
What was that noise?
There's nothing visibly wrong with the room, yet Raymond's mother keeps her eyes locked upward, as if something is actually there. That detail matters, because for the past several weeks, Raymond has been capturing footage of her reaching her arms up towards something above the bed. He's gone over that space again and again, whether it's the ceiling or anywhere nearby, and every single time he comes up empty. Then one day, while filming yet another one of these reaching episodes, he captures this.
I don't understand.
As Raymond records his mom stretching upward once more, what happens next is hard to explain. The nurse's hair suddenly whips straight up into the air. Going back through the footage, she doesn't turn her head or make any sudden movement that could account for it. Her hair simply lifts on its own before she even reacts. So how exactly does Nurse Judy's hair shoot upward with no apparent cause? According to her own account, it felt like someone had taken hold of her hair and pulled. That word, pulled upward, is worth sitting with for a moment. Raymond's reasoning is that if something dragged her hair in that direction, it came from above. And if that's the case, maybe his mother hasn't been imagining things this whole time. There's nothing you can see to back that up, but there is something else on this bed that might.
This is the phone that...
During one of her nighttime reaching episodes, he pulls out his phone and points it at the ceiling to see if anything shows up. See for yourself what the camera caught. Neither Raymond nor any of his mother's nurses could make sense of what appeared here. Instead of finding something on the ceiling like he expected, he spots something else entirely, a strange, unexplained bulge shifting beneath his mother's blanket. It wasn't there at the start, and earlier footage of the bed shows it lying completely flat. It's gone just as quickly as it appeared, much like the sounds captured in this next clip. Between the noises and the mysterious lump, Raymond has started to feel like it's not just the ceiling that's the problem. The whole room seems to be involved.
There's nothing. Nothing here. You would think this is where you'd see something. You know?
After posting the video and reading through comments, someone floated the idea that he cut into the mattress to figure out what might be causing the bulge. Raymond wasn't sold on that. He had no interest in destroying his mom's bed over what might turn out to be nothing. Eventually, though, after getting her a replacement mattress and noticing the old one was already coming apart along its underside, he thought, well, might as well take a look now. What he discovered inside shook him to his core.
This is the bed we're going to take a look in. The new mattresses just came in.
Okay. Like she.
That's just, we're gonna cut the whole thing. Look at this. Thank you. To the person who suggested this, thank you.
No lumps or foreign objects were found, but what he did uncover was disturbing in a different way. The mattress he believed was brand new was actually a used one that had been wrapped up and dressed to pass as new. Raymond had no clue he'd purchased what was essentially a refurbished bed. When he bought it a year prior, there were no tags, no zippers, nothing to suggest the outer layer was just a cover. It's uncommon, but there are documented cases of people cutting open their mattresses only to find a second-hand one hidden inside. After making that discovery, Raymond disposed of the mattress and reported that things in his mother's room had quieted down significantly. Then, 2 nights later, this is what he walks into.
I took out of my mom's room. This is the mattress that I cut up the other day. It's out on the curb, getting ready to be picked up. Now, this is the mattress that I thought was the source of everything. The knocking. Well, tell me why. Tell me why I still hear the knocking.
Having convinced himself the mattress was behind everything, he was genuinely rattled to see the activity picking right back up. But the most unsettling thing to happen since tossing that mattress is what he and his mother's nurse both spotted while watching the monitor together.
Oh my god, I see it. Oh, go, 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 go.
They searched the entire room afterward and found absolutely nothing, which leaves the obvious question hanging in the air. What is actually happening in that room? If things are still going on even after the mattress is long gone, then nothing has been explained. Raymond hasn't posted any updates since, but in the meantime, drop your thoughts below. What do you think is going on here? In Krugersdorp, South Africa, a woman decided to record a walkthrough of her brand new, unfurnished apartment to share with her friends. She was entirely by herself, yet her camera managed to pick up a visitor she never welcomed. Take a look at what the footage reveals. As she sweeps the camera toward the kitchen, a female figure dressed in a flowing white gown can be spotted drifting past the back doorway. The apparition is surprisingly clear, yet the woman behind the camera shows zero reaction, which tells us she had absolutely no idea it was there. But that wasn't the only thing the recording picked up. Further into the video, a hazy, see-through form, the kind often referred to as ectoplasm, appears to materialize right on top of the kitchen counter. How would you feel if you pulled up this footage on your phone after spending a day filming your new place? A young man by the name of Jordan was doing nothing more than sitting back and watching a movie when strange sounds began drifting in from the room directly across the hall. Frightened, he pulled out his phone and started recording a Snapchat clip to send to a friend, explaining that the noises made no sense given that he was completely alone in the house. But the second that camera started rolling, something so disturbing was caught on film that it left him genuinely shaken to his core. A small, dark figure shot out from the hallway room and vanished into the one beside it. At first glance, it didn't look quite human, but it didn't look like any animal either. Its shape was strange, almost impossible to categorize. Jordan insists he was the only living person inside that house at the time, yet there it was, this shadowy thing moving freely through his home. He says up until that moment, all he had to go on were the sounds. The clip exploded across the internet and quickly became a massive viral sensation. In the chaos that followed, countless viewers began coming forward, claiming they had spotted that exact same dark entity lurking in or around their own homes. A woman named Cheryl shares her home with her daughter, and the two have been dealing with some unsettling experiences, mostly unexplained noises they can't seem to trace to any source. Cheryl works as a seamstress from home, which is why the house is filled with mannequins. In the footage, her daughter mentions spotting something moving around inside the closet, though she couldn't quite make out what it was. She decides to go and investigate. What gets recorded in the process is genuinely spine-tingling. Pay close attention to what unfolds.
Hey guys, just wanted to jump on really quick because I had to stop sewing. My daughter just said that something weird really happened and we've been experiencing a lot of strange things lately, just different noises and stuff. Don't mind my mannequins, I sew for a living, so. Can you tell mommy what you just said?
I think there's something under the door.
Under the closet door? Is that what scared you? It's okay. Everything's all right. What?
I'm scared.
Let's go. Come on. Come on.
She looks through the closet and finds absolutely nothing unusual. But within just a few seconds of her stepping away, the mannequin inside begins swaying on its own before toppling over completely, with neither of them anywhere near it at the time. Plenty of viewers immediately jump to the conclusion that the mannequins themselves are the source of the paranormal activity in the home. Though given that sewing is how Cheryl earns her income, their presence there makes total sense. She later posted a follow-up video pushing back on those comments, clarifying that this incident was recorded roughly 2 to 3 months before she ever purchased the mannequins. In that second clip, her daughter is seen playing in her room when something suddenly grabs her attention. Whatever it was seems to draw the girl toward the closet. Maybe she picked up on a sound coming from inside. She lingers in the doorway for a brief moment, just staring in, before turning around and walking out. The instant she leaves her mother's room, the closet door swings shut entirely on its own. From that point forward, the two have been sharing a different room in the house rather than sleeping apart. So is there something supernatural going on in Cheryl's home? Or could there be another explanation altogether? That's for you too. Antonio is a man who runs a construction, rental, and wholesale business out of Mazamitla, Mexico. Late one night, he was out inspecting a woodland cabin he'd been renovating with plans to put it on the market. He'd swing by every so often, just to check on the state of the place. That's when something caught his eye. A light on the upper floor was flickering. He grabbed his phone and started filming, figuring it was probably a wiring problem he'd need to deal with. What he saw next, though, stopped him cold. As he watched that stuttering light, a pale, unsettling figure slowly crept into view at the window, appearing to stare right back at him. The shape looked dark and impossible to make out, even during the brief moments the light flooded the room. What made it even more disturbing was that Antonio was out there completely on his own. Nobody had any business being anywhere near that cabin, much less inside it. He made the decision to head in and investigate with his own eyes. Here's the footage he recorded. A shaken Antonio swept through every room of the cabin. Fortunately, the place appeared to be deserted. He still has no explanation for what he witnessed that night, but it's worth pointing out that his social media presence is purely professional, used only to showcase properties for sale and renovation projects. So the question remains wide open. Just what exactly was that figure? The video you're about to see was posted to YouTube by the channel shown on screen right now. The channel is run by Mark, a musician based in the Philippines who typically uploads content centered around his music career. A few months back, however, he shared something completely out of the ordinary. Footage he claims he'd been holding onto for almost 2 years, too disturbed by it to make it public. The recording was made on the night of September 2nd, 2023, following a concert in Vienna at the Kubo Festival. On the way back to their hotel, Mark and a small group of friends hopped on a train and settled in for the ride. At some point along the route, something caught his attention, a feeling that something was off. Quietly, without drawing attention to himself, he pulled out his phone and hit record. Here's what that camera picked up.
Ja, ik eet zo'n McDonald's. Ronald McDonald.
A woman dressed in dark, mourning-style clothing sits completely motionless throughout the entire clip. What struck viewers most deeply was how utterly vacant and lifeless her presence appeared. Afterward, Mark showed the footage to the friends who had been seated directly across from where this woman was, people he knew well. Their response, though, sent chills down his spine. Not one of them remembered seeing anybody sitting in that spot. So what exactly did Mark record that night on that Vienna train? A genuine apparition captured on video? Or is there a rational explanation hiding somewhere in the details? Oops. Over on the YouTube channel called The Path Beyond, a woman named Kathy shares what it's like living in a haunted rental home. Kathy and her family have been dealing with an unwelcome presence for quite a while now, and over the years, they've gradually grown accustomed to the strange and unexplainable events that surround them. A collection of old dolls kept inside the house seemed to be a frequent target of this unseen entity, and with a camera pointed directly at them, Kathy managed to capture something that left her completely shaken. Late at night, the motion sensor was set off by one of the dolls shifting on its own. The doll on the right slowly tilted forward with no apparent cause, and it doesn't seem like it simply fell over, as it settled back into a sitting position. The camera angle gives us a clear view behind the dolls, so if anyone had been there physically moving them, we would have seen it. But there was nobody in the room when this footage was recorded. Kathy has to be one of the most fearless people alive, because those creepy little dolls would never set foot anywhere near A guy who goes by Sam from the YouTube channel The Northwest Wind has built a following by pitching camp in some seriously unconventional spots. Think parking garages, public restrooms, even graveyards. On this particular stealth camping outing though, Sam picks a wooded park on the outskirts of Cleveland, Ohio. It's the middle of January, the cold is brutal, and once his tent is up for the night, he starts wondering if this whole plan was a mistake.
Spooked since I got here. I keep feeling like somebody's watching me. And then seeing that person.
As darkness sets in, that nagging doubt quickly shifts into something much closer to genuine terror.
I don't know if they could see it or not through the tent. I don't think so. I'm leaning right up against the light, but somebody's walking around out there very close to the tent.
Sitting alone out there with no light, Sam picks up on what sounds like two figures moving around just outside his tent. The footsteps keep getting closer, and yet whoever is out there doesn't make a single sound.
Hello? All right, I don't like this. Hello? Hello? They're touching my tank. Hello? And I'm getting the f out of here. Hello? Hello? I don't know what this is, but we're getting out of here. Hang on. Hello? Okay, they're walking away now. What do you want? What do you want? I have a knife. Where's my knife? Say something, I see you. They collapsed my tent on me. I don't know which way they went. I think they went this way. I see you. Get away! All right, I'm spooked. I don't like this. Get my headlamp on and we're getting out of here right now. They're just standing there. They're just standing there. What do you want? Leave me alone! They went over that way. I can't see them now. I know you're there. I see you. They collapsed my tent on me and pulled the fly off while I was still in there. It smells like someone's smoking a cigarette too. I smell your cigarette. All right, we're just gonna get out of here. We're just gonna get out of here. I'll come back for this crap later. Do I have my phone? I'm gonna call. Stay away from me! They're coming behind me. I don't know what they're doing. They could just be around. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going. They're at my campsite. I see them. I see you reflecting off my tent. Leave my alone! All right, I'm getting out of here. One of them's following me. One of them's... Okay, here's the trail of some kind. I just ate. I'm soaked. I'm toast. Okay, oh, they're coming. Leave me alone! Okay. About 5 minutes from the car now, but I'm in the big clearing off the path. I have the high ground, so to speak. I can see everything from behind me. I don't see anybody anymore. Can't hear anybody. If they were coming, I could see them for a ways now. Right at the edge of the wood line. It's about 150 yards away. Hang on. You see that? I see you! I can see you! Oh, it's getting bigger. It's getting bigger. All right, let's get the here. I don't know if they're like after me or something, or what the happening. We're getting the here. It's getting bigger. They're coming this way. Oh, I don't like this. I'm calling the police. Okay. All right, we're getting out of here. All right. Lock my doors. What the fuck?
Sam shouts out to them, even raises his voice, hoping the noise alone will drive them off, but he gets nothing back. Complete silence. At that moment, Sam decides he's not going to stick around and find out what happens next. He abandons all of his gear and sprints straight back to his car. He gets out without a scratch, thankfully. When he goes back the following morning, though, his tent and everything inside it are sitting right where he left them. Not a single item taken, not a single thing disturbed, and somehow that makes the whole experience even creepier. So who exactly was circling Sam's tent in the dead of night? Just some random people wandering through the woods? Or was something far more sinister tracking his every move from the shadows? We are absolutely getting out of here. This thing just keeps growing. Deep in the night, a surveillance camera rolling inside a residential apartment caught something that's been making people deeply uncomfortable ever since. The person living there says odd things had been going on for months. items turning up in different spots, doors swinging open with no one near them. But what this particular recording shows takes things to a whole new level. As the clip unfolds, a cat sits peacefully on the floor before suddenly being dragged several feet across the room by what appears to be absolutely nothing. Then, just moments afterward, a chair near the dining table begins gliding away from it all on its own. The tenant insists there was not a single other person in that apartment when this happened. Whether this turns out to be a cleverly staged hoax, some kind of hidden mechanism at work, or something that genuinely defies rational explanation, this unsettling clip keeps the paranormal community buzzing with argument and speculation. Paranormal investigator based in France, known on TikTok as Paranormal Homant, has built quite a reputation for venturing into derelict buildings and abandoned properties. He typically streams these spine-tingling explorations live on YouTube, so his audience can experience every moment as it unfolds. In this particular footage, he and his investigation partner are combing through an especially unsettling abandoned house. To try to document some kind of evidence, they've positioned a motion-activated bear in a doorway alongside a music box that they insist has absolutely no wireless or remote functionality built into it. What their camera ends up recording, though, is genuinely difficult to brush off.
Ici, est-ce que vous pouvez vous rapprocher à cette petite jouet qui est par terre ou m'ouvrir cette boîte à musique? L'un des deux.
Oh.
Parfait. Vous pouvez m'ouvrir cette petite boîte, s'il vous plaît, dans ce cas-là? Est-ce que vous pouvez le faire, s'il vous plaît? Edgar. La dinguerie.
Là, il est en train de jouer avec les deux.
Rapprochez-vous à cette jouet. Ah tiens, il n'y avait même pas besoin que je joue. Abusé, mec.
Je me demande c'est qui.
Oh putain.
Non, on a pas fait ça.
Oh la dinguerie. Tiens, y a rien. Et y a personne. Tiens.
The two investigators start by calling out to whatever spirits may inhabit the house, asking them to either trigger the music box or pass close enough to set off the motion detector. Almost immediately after the request, the motion sensor trips, suggesting that something invisible has just moved directly in front of it. Then when they ask the entity to open the music box, the lid can be seen slowly rising all the way open by itself, with nobody anywhere near it. Now, it's worth acknowledging that a concealed remote could theoretically account for that, but what follows is considerably harder to rationalize. While the motion sensor keeps firing, the device is suddenly and violently dragged backward into the darkened room behind it. The investigators scramble inside to figure out what could have pulled it. They find absolutely nothing there. So what exactly is hiding inside this abandoned house? Is it a restless spirit that didn't appreciate the company? Or is the whole thing an elaborate setup by the investigators themselves? That's for you to judge. A real estate agent who documents properties on his TikTok page may have unknowingly filmed something deeply unsettling during one of his walkthroughs. He was recording a newly listed home the same way he always does, moving from room to room, highlighting the space and its features, when something absolutely chilling showed up in the footage. See for yourself what his camera picked up.
Amplia cocina. Amplia cocina. Dormitorio 1.
The moment he steps into the kitchen, a small, dark, partially transparent shape darts across the frame before disappearing almost immediately. At the time, he had no idea anything was off and went ahead and posted the clip to his account as normal. It wasn't until his comments section started flooding with warnings from concerned viewers that he realized something was wrong. Going back to review the footage himself, he was visibly shaken and adamant that no one else had been present in that room with him. The figure is only visible for a fraction of a second, yet a huge number of viewers are convinced it moves in a way that no ordinary person could. So where do you stand on this one? Was the agent unknowingly sharing a property with something supernatural, or is there a more rational explanation hiding in plain sight? Ibibon 243 is a night watchman based in Taiwan. His shift runs through the overnight hours, and for the most part, the job couldn't be simpler. He sits in the staff room, keeps an eye on the CCTV feeds, and makes sure the building stays secure. He'd been doing it for months without any real issues until things started getting strange. It started with sounds, faint ones, in the deepest part of the night. Initially, he brushed it off, figuring it was his imagination or maybe something drifting in from outside. But the sounds kept coming back, louder each time and harder to ignore. He pulled up the CCTV footage hoping for some kind of answer, but no matter how carefully he looked, the cameras showed absolutely nothing out of the ordinary. Baffled, he brought it up with his employer. His boss's response was pretty casual, probably just a ghost. Ibibon figured that was the guy's way of making a joke, but it stopped feeling like a joke one night when he heard it clear, unmistakable knocking, coming from the employee bathroom, which he knew was completely empty. He grabbed his phone to record and picked up something to defend himself, then headed in to check it out. He follows the sound into the bathroom, and what he encounters in there has no logical explanation.
I know. Ai đồng đi đâu? Ai đâu? Nam mô Di Đà Phật, Nam mô Di Đà Phật. Ai đâu? Nó lầy mày nữa. Nam mô Di Đà Phật, Nam mô Di Đà Phật. Có ai không? Có ai trong yếu? Ai đâu? Nam mô Di Đà Phật. Ai đây? Ai đâu? Mày ơi.
A series of deeply unsettling things unfold, doors swinging open and shut on their own, and water running from the taps, even though he was certain everything had been switched off just minutes earlier. It's as though some invisible presence is in there with him, deliberately messing around. And that wasn't even the most disturbing thing he'd experience on the job. A few nights later, he's working alongside another staff member when the two of them hear strange noises coming from a room further down the hallway. They're certain no one else is in the building, so together they go to see what's going on. What he manages to capture on camera is enough to make your skin crawl. On the other side of the window, something appears a face, resembling that of a small child or infant, staring directly back at them. It holds there for several seconds before vanishing completely, and if that weren't disturbing enough, what looks like a dark skeletal hand can be seen resting on the windowsill, and it too withdraws from view the moment the face disappears. Here's the thing that makes it truly inexplicable. That room sits on one of the building's upper floors, with no balcony or ledge on the outside. There is simply no way any living person could be standing out there. As far as Hybabon is concerned, there's only one explanation the building is haunted. Yang Bai Min, a cafe worker based in Penang, Malaysia, recently uploaded a TikTok clip that has left a lot of people deeply unsettled. It happened just after 10:30 in the evening while he was attending to a customer. He heard a sudden sound from behind him and brushed it off as nothing worth worrying about. But when he went back and checked the security camera footage, what he found was something he simply couldn't explain. An item sitting on the counter abruptly jerks in a sharp, unnatural direction, coming dangerously close to hitting the floor. The force behind the movement seems far too strong to be chalked up to something like a passing draft or minor vibrations. Shaken by what the footage revealed, Yang started to seriously question whether something supernatural might be lurking in the cafe. Some of his viewers are convinced this is a genuine paranormal event, while others are still searching for a more logical explanation. What's undeniable, though, is that ever since that night, the cafe has taken on a very different, much less comfortable atmosphere. A man working as a babysitter for a 5-year-old girl started noticing that something was off about her behavior. She appeared scared and kept saying things that didn't quite make sense to him. Then one night, she came to him with something unsettling to say about her doll. According to her, it moved on its own.
What you doing over there? Nice. What was it that you told me earlier about your doll? You said it moves?
Yeah.
That doll? This doll?
Yeah.
You said it moves? Like you move it, or? Wait, what? When does it move?
When you play hide and seek with her.
When you play hide and seek?
Yeah.
Bro.
The little girl claimed the doll would only move during their games of hide and seek. The babysitter brushed it off, chalking it up to the wild imagination of a young child. But the very next day, something gave him pause. The family dog locked eyes on that doll and just stared at it for an unusually long time, in a way that felt deeply wrong.
The dog has been staring at the doll. Looking at it. I'm kind of freaked out right now. We're playing hide and seek. Oh my god! Sadie, you scared me. Don't do it.
About a week after that, late at night while he was sitting in front of the TV, he suddenly picked up a strange sound drifting in from the living room, the same room where the doll was kept. He got up to check it out, and what unfolded next shook him to his core.
Yo.
A toy sitting right beside the doll switched itself on without anyone touching it. Then the doll itself began to move. The man recoiled in pure terror and bolted from the room. After that night, he no longer had any doubt that what the little girl had been telling him all along was the truth, not a child's fantasy. He's now fully convinced that doll is haunted. What's your take on that? Man who goes by Willow suspects he may have moved into a home with a paranormal presence. He says it took no more than a few days after settling in before inexplicable things started occurring around the house. It began when he noticed his cat fixating on bare walls for extended stretches of time and reacting with visible fear toward things Willow himself could not perceive. Convinced the animal was picking up on something beyond human senses, Willow made the decision to set up cameras around the property. What those cameras recorded is genuinely disturbing. At approximately 12:47 in the morning, one of the feeds shows a stack of video games being hurled to the floor, with no obvious cause, and just moments after that, a door swings violently open, as though something had shoved it with considerable force. But there was another detail that stood out. Shortly before any of that happened, a plasma sphere can be seen switching on and off on its own, almost as if something were deliberately interacting with it. After going back through the footage, Willow came to believe that whatever was in the house might have been attempting to use the device as a means of communication.
And I saw that the bloody plasma ball's going off again on its own. So yeah, I'm going to ask it some questions and see if anything happens. Right, is anyone there? If anyone's here, make the plasma ball light up. Or if anything's here. If anything's here right now, make the plasma ball light up. Right, well, it's not working. So, oh, it's just off. Right, so you finally joined us. Right, and I don't really know what to say. So, have you been wanting to communicate with everything that's been going on? Okay, and why? Why have you been trying to communicate? Do you want to hurt me? No? Okay, so you don't mean me any harm. Okay. Right, so I don't really know what to say, to be honest. Have you been scaring Corey? Right, why the fuck have you been scaring my cat? Do you not like Corey? Why do you not like Corey? Do you not like me? Right, so you don't like either of us. So, do you want us out of this house? Why do you want us out of this?
To him, it genuinely felt like something was reaching out through that plasma sphere. Toward the end of the recording, he notes that the device had been powered down and that there were no electrical outlets anywhere on that particular wall. And according to Willow, following that apparent attempt at contact, the disturbances throughout the house grew significantly worse. From a different camera angle, the games are once again sent flying across the floor, and this time, a chair can be seen dragging itself through the room on its own. Not long after, the lid of the washing machine lifts open without anyone near it, and within seconds, clothing is thrown forcefully out onto the floor. Up to that point, Willow had never seen anything take place right in front of his own eyes, but that was about to change during a routine moment in the kitchen. Here's where it gets personal. In footage captured that morning, Willow is seen loading laundry into the washing machine when he catches his fingers and winces in pain. At that very instant, the same chair begins moving again, tracing a path strikingly similar to what had been recorded before. Seconds later, he walks out of frame, and he would later describe feeling an unseen force pulling at him in that moment. Ever since then, Willow has remained firmly convinced that something else is living in that house alongside him. But what's your take? Is this a legitimate poltergeist situation? Or is there a more rational explanation for everything that was captured? And if something really was there, why did it only seem to make itself known once he arrived? Normal investigator Brad Mack and his team have traveled to a location known as The Cage. Situated in the small English village of St. Osyth, the history attached to this place is deeply unsettling. Dating back to 1582, the structure served as a place of imprisonment, but with a very specific and grim purpose. It was used to detain and put to death women who had been found guilty of practicing witchcraft. Brad Mack reports that throughout their investigation, the team encountered unexplained footsteps and faint whispering voices. Lights switched on and off without any apparent cause, and on multiple occasions, team members felt what seemed like bites or pinches on their skin. One investigator, a woman named Vanessa, was so disturbed by the experience that she flatly refused to remain inside the building once night fell, but none of that compared to what happened next. Later that evening, the group chose to conduct a séance in an attempt to reach the spirits of the women who had perished within those walls. While Brad Mack observed and filmed from a separate room, something alarming unfolded with one of the women seated in the circle.
It's completely changed, doesn't even look like a person.
Right, Debbie, you need to come down here for a minute, please.
Oh, weird, man. Face is completely changed.
The face of one of the participants visibly begins to shift and distort into something that can only be described as nightmarish. Her nose appears to elongate, and her mouth pulls into a wide, unnatural smile that looks nothing like a human expression. Concerned for her well-being, the team immediately breaks the session and pulls her away from the group. Afterward, the woman is discovered to have a strange burn mark along the back of her neck, despite having been wearing multiple layers of clothing the entire time. She later recalled suffering from disturbing nightmares and a series of unexplained events occurring throughout her home. So was this a genuine supernatural possession captured on film, or simply a camera distortion playing tricks on everyone? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. After Nora's story, we have Rose and her father, who decided to head out for a relaxing stroll through the woods. It started out as nothing more than a calm, quiet walk under the canopy of trees. But as they ventured further in, something odd caught their attention off in the distance. Intrigued, they moved in for a closer look and stumbled upon what seemed to be the crumbling remains of a long-abandoned house tucked away deep in the forest. Their curiosity got the better of them, and they chose to poke around inside. But it wasn't long before they encountered something that sent them both bolting out in pure terror.
Going in there?
I went in there.
Oh, that's scary.
The inside of the house offered little of interest, just crumbling walls, scattered debris, and the hollow shell of a place that time had completely swallowed up. Then Rose glanced through one of the windows nearby, and her blood ran cold. There, motionless in the shadows, was the unmistakable outline of a human figure, entirely jet black, no face, no distinguishable features, and not even a hint of movement. Yet somehow, it felt like it was looking straight at her. Panic surged through her instantly. Every instinct in her body screamed at her to get out, and she didn't hesitate for a second. She bolted straight out of that house. So what exactly was lurking in that darkened room? Was it simply someone taking shelter inside the old ruins? Or was it something that defies a rational explanation?
That's scary.
Our next clip was posted to the video sharing platform Dailymotion back in December of 2015, and it captures something absolutely chilling in the middle of the day. We see the person behind the camera recording a skyscraper somewhere in the city on what looks like a cold, overcast afternoon. For the opening few seconds, aside from the generally eerie mood of the footage, everything seems completely unremarkable. Then, a moment later, the uploader zooms in toward an area just beside the building, and that's when this otherwise ordinary video takes a dramatic turn. Hovering right alongside the structure is what looks to be an enormous pyramid-shaped UFO. It drifts slowly around the side of the building for a few seconds before the footage cuts out, leaving absolutely no explanation for what we just witnessed. Now, it's certainly possible this isn't an extraterrestrial craft at all. Maybe it was just some oddly shaped kite or a strange atmospheric anomaly, but given how bizarre and unexplained the whole thing is, you really can't rule anything out. One evening, residents became alarmed by disturbing sounds coming from a neighboring home and dialed emergency services. When police showed up, they discovered a woman inside, but something wasn't right. The way she was acting was deeply unsettling, almost inhuman, and what really made their skin crawl was the sound coming out of her mouth. It bore no resemblance to her normal voice. People who knew her well said it was entirely unrecognizable. Filled with fury, she spat out strange, threatening words at the responding officers over and over again. Those in the neighborhood were convinced she was under some kind of demonic influence. And even the officers on scene struggled to write that off entirely. The following video is about a man who lives on 300 acres of swampland in a place called Dinsmore, land his family bought cheap from a paper mill that operated in the 1800s. Land that he claims was originally stolen from Native Americans and sits directly on top of an old burial ground. According to him, he's not the only one who believes something is wrong out there. He says local police officers will draw straws to avoid responding to calls on the property, and when they do show up, they won't set foot past the property line. That detail alone is hard to shake, but it's what happened to him the previous night that sent him outside in the dark, bare-chested and terrified, phone in hand. He says he walked off the porch to check on the chickens when he heard two things. First, someone calling his name, and then a voice saying, "Help me," from somewhere in the darkness. Watch.
Y'all, I just walked off the porch and I came out here to check on the chickens. I just heard, first off, I heard my name. Second off, it sounded like somebody was saying, "Help me." Hold on. Hold on.
Hey. Help. I need help. Eric, can you help me?
What you hear coming out of that blackness is a clear, disembodied male voice, distinct, intelligible, calling out, "Hey," then "Help," then "I need help," then the name Derek, and finally, "Can you help me?" There's no figure visible, no source, just open darkness and that pleading voice drifting in from the trees. Some viewers immediately thought of a classic piece of folklore, sometimes called the Dark Call. the idea that certain malevolent entities will lure people away from safety by mimicking distress, using familiar names or cries for help to draw someone deeper into the woods. Others think it's entirely possible a real person was out there, maybe someone from the abandoned trailer a quarter-mile onto the land that he mentions people frequently break into. Skeptics have both explanations to choose from, but the fact that the voice knew his name is the part that's difficult to talk around. The following morning, he sat down and laid out the full context. Watch.
So last night was insane. I told you, look, I live on 300 acres of swampland. Just a little background for everybody. 300 acres of swampland. We bought it for a penny an acre from the paper mill that was here back in the 1800s. The paper mill stole it from the Native Americans. Everything that everything is built around out here is on top of Indian burial ground. So I'm not the only one to have had this experience. Other people have had these experiences. You could just talk to the local people here in Dinsmore. They've had the same experiences out here. In fact, it's so bad, police officers will draw straws or argue about who has to come down here when something happens. My family used to be crazy. There used a lot of drinking, drug use, and, you know, just abuse and stuff like that. So cops would be out here all the time, but they would not come on the property. They will only meet you at the end of the property. That's how fucking scary it is out here. So today we're going to investigate. I still think that crackheads wandered up from the property. It is about a quarter of a mile into the property, but that doesn't mean anything. We get crackheads, heroin addicts, whatever. They're the new crackheads, meth addicts, they're the new crackheads. We get them out here all the time trying to steal stuff because we used to run a business out here. So I'm going to investigate a trailer that's on the edge of the property today to see that they steal out of all the time. They stole the copper out of it. They busted the windows out of it. So we're going to go see inside that trailer if there's any evidence of anybody staying in it or anything like that. So yeah, stay tuned, guys. Peace.
He describes the property as deeply haunted, says the paranormal activity is so severe that even seasoned local officers refuse to enter, and admits that his own first theory is that it might have been trespassers, possibly people staying in that abandoned trailer on the land. So that same day, he decided to go take a look.
Okay, so we are out here exactly where everybody said this thing was standing. This is the spot right here. Directly at this spot. There's the track. I see no footprints. So this is the exact spot right here, guys. Here's the chickens in the background. So I don't know. This is in this area right here is where it was standing. Is where everybody said it was standing. I couldn't see it while standing just about over there. There we go. And so we keep this stuff like this locked. We keep stuff like this locked because, like I said, crackheads. Let's check to make sure it's locked. Door's locked. This is the trailer that I was worried about. Did you fucking see that, bro? Look, I'm telling. Okay, we're just gonna peek in. Oh my, what the fuck? There's walking around in this bro. Hello? So we're gonna have to climb in this. Probably should have brought my gun. Hello? Heard that shit. Hold up, man. It's happening all around me right now. Like it's the worst that it's ever been.
The research context around Dinsmore notes that the area has a long history of paranormal folklore and unexplained phenomena, and the most famous incident dates back to 1897, suggesting that whatever people believe is out there has been talked about for well over a century. Whether the voice in the dark was a person, something mimicking one, or something else entirely that this land has carried since long before his family ever bought it, no one knows. But what do you think? This next video was recorded on January 4th of 2026 by a hospital security guard working a night shift on the second floor of a medical facility, a floor that houses the ICU and a family waiting area. He'd been called up earlier for an emergency, and once that was handled, he decided to walk back down the hall toward the hospital chapel, a room he'd heard about from co-workers who swore strange things happened there regularly, though he'd personally never witnessed anything himself, and that was about to change. Watch.
So, we are on the second floor now. Gotta be a little quiet up here because, so the ICU is actually right in front of me is family waiting. Hey, what's up, Richard? Hey. How you doing? And right to the right is he's went back in the room. Hold up. I was gonna say that right next to family waiting is the chapel. I was going to come in here anyway because people say that crazy things happen here all the time, but I'd never experienced anything, so I figured why not try? And of course, now things are happening. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit right here and just wait. Holy hell, that scared the hell out of me. Oh, my heart is racing. Is that my shadow? Do y'all see a shadow on the wall, or is that just me? Oh, I gotta get the hell up out of here. Shit done, like I'm sweating now.
After sharing the footage, the guard revealed another detail that immediately caught people's attention. Long before it became part of the ICU, that entire floor had reportedly served as the hospital's psychiatric ward. According to staff members, one story has circulated for years. Several employees have claimed that a young child occasionally appears in the corridor, approaching people with a simple question. Will you play with me? They also describe the child carrying, or asking for, a small red ball. The image of a ghostly child with a red ball has become one of the most enduring motifs in modern paranormal reports. Investigators often note that toys, especially brightly colored balls, are frequently associated with alleged child hauntings because they're commonly used during investigations as so-called trigger objects, items believed by some to encourage interaction. Whether that's because of expectation, coincidence, or something genuinely unexplained remains a matter of debate. BC others believe the legend may have grown over time, passed from one generation of hospital staff to the next, until every unexplained sound or glimpse in the hallway became linked to the same story. Still, hospitals have long been places where folklore thrives. Decades of intense emotion, grief, hope, and loss naturally give rise to stories that linger long after the people involved are gone. Whether the guard captured evidence of the child his co-workers had described, or simply experienced an eerie coincidence in an old hospital, one question remains. If you heard a child's voice asking you to play in an empty hospital corridor after midnight, would you answer? The following video was recorded inside a quiet room one afternoon, with daylight pressing through the blinds and everything looking perfectly still until this happens. The small knob on that cabinet jiggles, briefly, sharply, like something tried to pull it open. According to the owner, this occurred shortly after purchasing an antique mirror from an estate sale and bringing it into the home. The mirror had originally come from an old property clearance, with no known history attached to it. In the days that followed, subtle disturbances were reported around the house, but nothing was captured on camera until this moment. Some viewers suggest a simple explanation: settling wood, internal pressure in the cabinet, or a hidden mechanism like a loose string or latch reacting off-camera. But others point out what makes the clip unsettling is not just the movement itself, but the absence of anything visible causing it. There is no one in frame, no interaction, no follow-through, just a single, isolated motion, and then stillness again. Moral of the story, as the owner later put it, be careful what you bring into your home from estate sales, garage sales, or thrift stores, because sometimes what seems like a simple object can come with more than just history attached to it. The following video series documents what a family claims has been an escalating sequence of paranormal activity inside their home, beginning with something their young son kept trying to tell them, and which they, like most parents would, initially dismissed. The boy had been mentioning someone named Jerry for a while, a name that didn't belong to anyone in the household, and the family assumed it was the kind of invisible friend children invent and eventually forget. Then the security camera caught something that made that explanation a lot harder to hold on to. Watch.
I don't see something. Yeah.
No, I don't know. What is it, Mona?
Jerry.
Where?
It's right here, next to the gun. It's next to the gun.
What you see is the boy mid-play, suddenly freezing completely still, rigid, alert, visibly frightened, staring at a point off to the right of the frame, where nothing visible to the camera exists. He stays that way for several seconds before running to wake his father, and the moment the man is up, the child points directly at that same spot, insisting something is there. The father investigates and finds nothing.
Green Goblin. The Venom.
No one believed him. That detail matters, because children under 5 are frequently cited in paranormal research as more perceptive to presences that adults can't detect. Some believe it's because they haven't yet learned to rationalize away what they sense. Others think entities like Jerry, which would traditionally fall under the category of an attachment, a presence that fixates on a specific person in the home, often a child, actively choose younger witnesses precisely because they're more likely to be dismissed. The next morning, the family was going about a completely normal start to the day. The woman washing dishes in the kitchen, the man waiting to refill a container, the boy sitting on the sofa watching a movie. Nothing about it felt unusual. Watch closely.
ये maggots कहाँ से आ रही हैं? What? Maggots, houseflies के जो worms जो आते हैं ना, दो हैं. इधर है ना? Maggots, not worms. Come and see now. कितना time लगा रही हो? Take a minute, please. कहाँ से आ रहे हैं? Pick up your puzzle after cleaning fast. Remove the puzzle. What? मारो कीड़ों को बाहर निकले नहीं तो. What? चलो fast.
There's a lot of chichi.
Just remove everything I need to pop. एक झाड़ू करो एक मॉप करो. Nothing. Later I will tell you. I want clean house. Relax, maggot. Why are you scared? Babes, बच्चा तुमको देख के सीखता है. ड्रामा मत करो. मुझे बहुत से डर लगता है. मुझे नहीं पसंद वो.
A small blue toy on the floor rocks forward and then backward on its own with no one near it. The man is several feet away, and the movement has no obvious cause. It's brief, maybe 2 seconds, but it's distinct. Skeptics would point to vibration from footsteps or an uneven floor, and that's a reasonable argument on its own. But set against what the child had been reacting to the night before, a lot of viewers see this as confirmation that whatever was in that room wasn't done making itself known. Small object movements are one of the most commonly reported early signs of poltergeist-adjacent activity. Not the dramatic, furniture-flinging kind, but a quieter presence testing the space, learning the room. The family says they ignored this too. Things didn't stay quiet. Weeks later, after friends, both Christian and Muslim, suggested playing the Lord's Prayer and Ayatul Kursi to clear the apartment of whatever negative energy had taken hold, the family did exactly that. And according to them, what followed was immediate and deeply disturbing. Listen closely. The man and woman are discovered moving through the apartment in visible distress, searching the floor, bending down, the woman pressing her hand to her mouth in what sounds like genuine panic, her voice high and alarmed, while her husband speaks in a calmer, measured tone, trying to keep her composed so the boy doesn't pick up on her fear. They reportedly found close to 33 maggots appearing throughout the apartment with no traceable source, no rotting food, no entry point, no explanation for where they came from. In certain religious traditions, a sudden and unexplained infestation following a spiritual cleansing is interpreted not as the evil leaving, but as it reacting, a sign that something present in the space was disturbed by the prayers and pushed back. The timing here is what keeps this from being easily explained away. Maggots require a food source and time to develop, and finding them throughout the home within hours of playing those recordings, with no origin point discovered, sits uncomfortably outside what a simple pest problem usually looks like. The woman, we're told, has a phobia of worms, which makes her panic understandable on its own. But the man's calm, systematic search suggests he wasn't dismissing it either. Whatever Jerry is, and whatever has been moving through this apartment, it doesn't seem to be fading. It seems to be escalating. What do you make of that pattern? Now in this next clip, two young women are sitting together at a large wooden dining table late at night, candles lit, a handmade Ouija board laid out in front of them, just a piece of paper with letters written across it, and a small, dark object serving as the planchette. No names have been given, so we'll just call them the dark-haired woman and the blonde. They're speaking throughout in what sounds like Swedish or Norwegian. Their voice is calm at first, focused, asking questions with their fingers resting lightly on the planchette as it drifts slowly across the paper. Then something shifts. Watch.
Ta ned på god dagen. Det går ikke. Kødder du nå? Ok, vet du hva? Nå kan jeg få gå hjem, eller? Du kan ikke gå hjem? Nei, jeg tør ikke å gå hjem. Jeg tør ikke å gå nå. Ta det bort, da. Jeg tør ikke å ha det her nå. Hva sier? Ja, men dere, nå faen, nå er jo han, nå er ånden her, da. Nå må dere... Ja, velkommen etter av banen. Tenk hvis han kommer og tar meg, da. Fy faen, jeg sitter alene. Faen, og så sitter i vinduet også. Hallo, hva skal vi si nå? Jeg fortsetter ikke nå. Jo, kan vi gjerne fortsette? Jeg er ikke for kjempegøy. Kan dere følge meg hjem, eller? Det er sant. Ja. Jeg skulle aldri vært med på dette, vet du. Det kommer seriøst sånne lysglimt foran skjermen, altså. Det er dritcreepy. Nå trodde jeg døra åpnet seg. Det tingler. Helvete, hele den driten tingler jo. Sjekka.
At first, nothing unusual seems to happen. The movement slows, then stops completely. The women pause and laugh nervously, trying to dismiss the moment, before resetting their hands and placing their fingers back on the board to try again. Some believe that's where things begin to shift. Paranormal researchers who study Ouija activity often caution that participants are supposed to formally close a session before stopping, typically by saying a closing phrase such as "goodbye," to signal that communication has ended. Without that, some believe the session remains open, leaving continued interaction more unpredictable. On their second attempt, the atmosphere appears to change. The glass on the table begins to move unexpectedly, sliding in a way that doesn't match their earlier control of the board. The reaction is immediate: hesitation, uncertainty, and a brief pause as they realize something feels different this time. But they continue anyway, and to many viewers, that decision stands out. Paranormal investigators often warn that continuing after an unusual or unsettling response can intensify the experience, as repeated engagement is believed by some to signal continued contact rather than closure. Whether the movement was coincidence, subtle manipulation, or something else entirely is never made clear in the footage. But what remains consistent is the sense that whatever began during that first session did not fully end when they stopped the first time. This next video was recorded on a Ring doorbell camera at a home the filmer and his partner had purchased from an elderly couple, and at the time it was captured, the two of them were over 100 miles away. The previous owners had been married for 76 years, and according to the filmer, the husband collapsed in the front yard one afternoon while cutting the grass and died on the way to the hospital. So the house had been empty, locked up, with no one inside. And yet, the Ring app sent an alert. Listen closely.
We were over 100 miles away when we heard our Ring doorbell sound, and we were super shocked to listen to the sound. Just wait for it. Sounds like the door is opening, and then there's a voice. We purchased the home from a couple that was married for 76 years. The husband collapsed in the front yard cutting the grass and died on the way to the hospital. I think this is him or his spirit trying to get in and find his wife. It's amazing to be married that long and have...
What you hear first is a sharp, distinct click, the kind of sound a door latch makes when it's being turned from the inside. Then, almost immediately after, a long, low, heavily distorted vocalization bleeds through, drawn out and garbled, like a voice that's been slowed down beyond recognition. The filmer believes it's the husband, still trying to come home and find his wife. That interpretation is hard to shake, honestly, especially when you consider the wedding photograph he shares at the end. A couple posed on a grand staircase, married 76 years, and now separated by something no door can open or close. Skeptics would point to audio buffer corruption as a likely explanation for the distortion, but that click comes first, and it sounds deliberate. This next clip centers on a teenager who, in what looks like a completely darkened room, decided to use a homemade Ouija board, the kind scrawled out by hand on white paper with orange marker, letters and numbers laid out just like any board you'd find in a store. There's no elaborate setup here, no candles, no group of friends crowded around it, just one boy, sitting cross-legged on the floor, a single beam of light trained on the board, and an inverted glass or polished stone acting as the planchette. He rubs his hands together, places one flat on the planchette, and waits. Watch.
I'm here at Grant's house. We're doing a Ouija board session in his basement. Okay, to start off, we're going to do one circle around the board to give any entities power. Are there any spirits with us here tonight? How many spirits are in the room with us? Sorry guys, I'm shaking a little bit. I didn't expect this to work. What is the name of the spirit that is with us? Zozo. What is the name of the second spirit that is with us? the second spirit that is with us. Zozo. Zozo. God, dude.
What was that?
What the heck was that? We need to end the session right now. Okay, to end the session, we go goodbye. So, goodbye. Dude, what the heck was that?
Oh my god.
We need to get out of here. Dude.
Oh my god!
Oh my god! Oh! Get out of here! What the heck was that?
Within the first 20 seconds, the planchette slides toward yes, and then, slowly and deliberately, begins to spell out BYE, letter by letter, before the session devolves into wide, sweeping arcs across the board. Then, at around a minute and a half in, the camera is violently thrown or dropped, the light beam whipping wildly across the floor before the screen whites out entirely. What makes this harder to dismiss is the sequence itself. Many who've studied Ouija sessions point out that goodbye appearing early in a session, unprompted, is widely considered one of the more unsettling responses, interpreted in some traditions as a spirit refusing further contact, or worse, something signaling it's done communicating and ready to act. The ideomotor effect explains involuntary hand movement, sure, but it doesn't explain what sent that camera across the room. You decide what ended that session so abruptly. Now, in this next clip, a man films himself walking through his home late at night after hearing a noise coming from the kitchen. He explains to the camera, speaking in French, that it's been a while since he last made a video because the strange activity had quieted down, but recently he's been finding drawers open around the house, and tonight was no different. He already found one open when he walked in, closed it himself, and then stood in the kitchen asking out loud, directly addressing whatever might be there, who it was and what it wanted. Then he asked, plainly and quietly, if he could have a response. Watch.
Donc salut tout le monde, je refais une vidéo, j'en ai pas fait depuis longtemps parce que les phénomènes avaient un peu cessé entre guillemets. Bon, je retrouve quand même des tiroirs ouverts de temps en temps, comme là, voilà, je fais une vidéo parce que je viens de voir ça. J'ai entendu du bruit dans la cuisine et du coup bah je suis venu. Ok, vous êtes qui? Qu'est-ce que vous voulez? Est-ce que je peux avoir une réponse s'il vous plaît? Est-ce que vous pouvez partir de chez moi? Ok, bon, je referai un live plus tard.
What unsettles a lot of viewers isn't just the movement itself, but the apparent intelligence behind it. This is what investigators sometimes describe as responsive or intelligent haunting behavior, where the activity doesn't just happen randomly, but seems to react directly to the person present. Skeptics will point to a faulty drawer runner or air pressure from an open window, but he'd already been living with this pattern long enough to know something else was going on. He ends the clip asking whatever's there to leave his home. Whether it listened is another question entirely. The following clip is about a man named Daniel Thompson, who occasionally returns to stay for a few days at the family home where he and his sister grew up. Recently, due to some accommodation issues, he's been staying there more often, and during those visits, he says he's begun noticing things in the house that he can't easily explain. According to Daniel, the strange feeling isn't entirely new. In fact, he believes something may have been present in that house since they were children. One reason he gives is his mother's unusual hobby. She has always been an avid collector, filling the house over the years with all kinds of strange antiques, dolls, puppets, and odd artifacts she picked up from flea markets, thrift stores, and estate sales. And one item in particular has always unsettled him, the dollhouse sitting in his sister's room. Daniel says that almost every time he walks past that room, he hears a faint knocking sound coming from inside. And for some reason, he's convinced the sound is coming from the dollhouse itself. Watch this. After hearing the knocking so many times, Daniel began wondering if one of the strange items his mother brought into the house years ago might have something attached to it. And considering how many eerie collectibles fill the rooms, it's not hard to see why the thought crossed his mind. In the next clip, you'll see some of the unusual items his mother has collected over the years. Take a look.
Okay, so the other thing that really creeps me out, that I do not like, but I will show you guys, is in my sister's old room, or I guess still room. Dollhouse. I don't know how to explain it. The only thing I can say that has happened with it is sometimes when I walk by, or like I go, the bathroom's back there, and I walk through and I hear like tapping coming from this room. It's like it's like yeah, it's like I know it's coming from this room, and so I come in here and then it usually stops, except for like maybe 3 nights ago, like the tapping kept happening, and I came over and I was trying to figure out like where it was coming from, but it was coming from this dollhouse and I don't know where, and it hasn't done it since. Like, why is it so intricate? It's like, freaks me out. I'm not showing you guys this again, so take one last look. Yeah. Fuck that thing.
His mother has several old dolls, puppets, and handmade figures, some of which already look unsettling even before anything strange happens. But viewers watching the footage noticed something that Daniel didn't mention right away. Toward the end of the video, just before he says, "Freaks me out," many people claim they can hear what sounds like the faint voice of a young girl somewhere in the background. And then there were the comments about one particular doll. the red one in the beginning of the clip. Several viewers said the doll had what they described as bad juju written all over it, with others pointing out the puppet beside it also looked unusually sinister. But according to Daniel, those aren't even the creepiest dolls in the house. There was one they absolutely couldn't stand while growing up. Watch this. If you look closely at the doll wearing the blue shirt and purple pants, something odd happens. For a brief moment, its eyes appear to blink. It's subtle, but once you notice it, it's difficult to unsee. Still, the most convincing moment for Daniel came after he decided to move the dollhouse out of the room. Almost immediately, the knocking sound stopped. For a while, the house became completely quiet again. But then something else happened. The knocking started again, in the room where he had moved the dollhouse, and that alone was enough to make him uneasy. Eventually, Daniel decided to spend a night at a friend's house, just to get away from the place for a while. But while he was there, his phone rang. It was his mother asking if he was back home trying to scare her. Confused, he told her he was still at his friend's place, so she sent him a video recorded by the living room security camera. Watch this. In the footage, the living room appears completely empty, but after a few seconds, faint footsteps can be heard moving through the house. At first, she thought Daniel might be playing some kind of prank, but after confirming he wasn't home at all, the situation suddenly felt a lot more serious. For the first time, she started wondering if something else might actually be moving through the house, and if the sounds really were coming from whatever was inside that dollhouse, then moving it may not have solved the problem. It might have just moved the problem somewhere else. Until more updates come from Daniel and his family, all anyone can do for now is hope whatever is happening there doesn't get worse. In this next video, a team of paranormal investigators return to the Wheelhouse in London, a historic building dating all the way back to 1885. Today, the building operates as a pottery business, but according to local stories and previous investigations, the place may hold more than just clay and pottery wheels. During an earlier investigation, the team believed they had captured evidence suggesting a female spirit might be connected to the building, possibly dating back to the time of World War II. Wanting to learn more about who, or what, might still be present there, they decided to return for another night of investigation. Watch this.
The lady that wanders here that leaves the smell of a fragrance, a perfume. What was that, Phil? I heard knocking. Did you hear knocking?
I don't know.
It was as soon as I mentioned the lady.
While Phil, one of the investigators, is speaking about World War II and the history surrounding the area, something unusual happens. In the background, a faint whisper can be heard, quiet, but distinct enough that several viewers immediately noticed it. Listen closely.
Until after the war, when they decided that they were going to go back to what they knew best, and that was shop fitting. Now, one of the directors was a chap called George.
Hold on, Phil.
Until after the war, when they decided that they were going to go back to what they knew best, and that was shop fitting. Now, one of the directors was a chap called George
Hold on, Phil.
In this part of the recording, a voice can be heard saying something that sounds like, "The Yankees are here." The phrase immediately caught the team's attention because during World War II, American soldiers, often referred to as Yankees, were stationed throughout parts of the United Kingdom. Some viewers believe the voice could be connected to someone who lived through that time, perhaps replaying a moment from the past when American troops arrived in the area. Trying to get more answers, the investigators continue attempting to communicate with whatever might be present in the building, and that's when this happens.
Last time we were here, this particular area we're sat in now, we heard quite a few noises. We heard the china being moved or knocked against. Could you do that again, perhaps on... What's that?
It's the REM pod going into alarm. The temperature's gone into alarm.
Oh, I heard a chink of something as well.
Yeah, I did. Somewhere behind you on the pottery again, Phil?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Could you do that again for me, please?
Suddenly, the REM pod, a device used by investigators to detect electromagnetic disturbances, goes into alarm. According to the team, the device reacted at the same moment they felt a sudden drop in temperature in the room. Then, almost immediately afterward, a sharp sound echoes through the building, like a piece of pottery being struck or knocked over somewhere nearby. The investigators pause, waiting to see if anything else will happen, and before long, they hear something else. Watch this.
Do you want me to talk to you about the war, as you asked? If you do, could you knock maybe the pottery again or bang on the table?
Someone's walking.
I heard something then.
Just heard footsteps.
You can hear clear footsteps, as though someone is walking through the building. What makes the moment unsettling is that the investigators confirm they are completely alone inside the space. No other staff, no customers, no one else who could be walking around the pottery workshop. Yet the footsteps sound deliberate, like someone slowly moving across the floor nearby. Old buildings often carry strange sounds, shifting wood, echoing pipes, distant vibrations traveling through the structure. But moments like this still leave people wondering if something else might still be moving through places, long after the people who once lived there are gone. So was it echoes from the past, or a spirit tied to the building's wartime history? You decide. Now in this next video, a woman named Genevieve hears something that catches her attention late in the evening. From another room, she can hear her young daughter talking, not just babbling or playing, but clearly speaking as if she's having a conversation with someone. Curious and a little confused, Genevieve calls out to her daughter, asking who she's talking to. A moment later, the little girl begins walking out of the dark room toward her mother. But as she steps out, something else appears in the footage. Watch closely.
Lorelei, come here. Lorelei, who are you playing with? What are you doing?
At first glance, many people's first reaction is probably the same, a shadow. But when viewers started looking closer, several details made the situation far more unsettling. For one thing, the room behind the child is almost completely dark. There's no obvious light source inside the room that could project a shadow that clearly across the space. Yet the dark figure seems to move independently from the girl herself. And if you slow the footage down, the shape doesn't match her body. The child is only wearing a diaper and a small t-shirt, but the figure behind her appears to have something hanging behind its legs, almost like a robe or long piece of fabric trailing downward. Even stranger is the way it moves. Instead of stretching or bending like a normal shadow would, when projected onto a wall or floor, the shape walks upright, moving through the middle of the room as if it has depth, almost like a three-dimensional figure rather than a flat shadow. Some viewers also pointed out something else that's hard to ignore. The dark figure appears to move before the child moves. Normally, a shadow reacts to the movement of the person creating it. It follows their motion, delayed only by fractions of a second. But in this case, the dark form seems to step forward slightly ahead of the girl. Another strange detail is where it appears in the frame. Shadows usually need a surface to be projected onto, a wall, a floor, or another object. But this figure seems to pass across open space in the middle of the room before fading away, almost like something briefly walking beside the child. If Genevieve's daughter really was talking to someone in that dark room, maybe the camera briefly captured who or what she was talking to. But I'll leave you to be the judge on this one. The following video revolves around something that, at first glance, sounds impossible. A phone that keeps ringing even though it has no power connected to it. The phone has been sitting inside the house for years, an old landline model that the family kept mostly as a decoration after it stopped working. But recently, it started doing something strange. Watch this.
This haunted phone rings without power.
Out of nowhere, the phone begins ringing. Naturally, the first reaction was to pick it up and see who might be calling. But every time someone answered it, there was nothing on the other end of the line. No voice, no static, no sound at all, just silence. And the strange part is that the phone isn't even connected to an active power source. When the clip was first shared, many viewers were quick to offer a simple explanation. Some said it might be a recurring electrical spark somewhere in the wiring of the house, or perhaps leftover electricity briefly triggering the ringer. Wanting to rule that out, the owners actually opened the phone to inspect it. But inside, there was nothing that could realistically hold power long enough to make the phone ring repeatedly. No battery, no capacitor large enough to store energy for more than a few seconds. And this wasn't a modern device either. The phone had reportedly been in the house since the 1970s. That detail made the situation even more unsettling for some viewers. Older landline phones are mechanical in nature, meaning the ringing sound usually requires a proper electrical signal traveling through the phone line. Without that signal, the bell simply shouldn't ring, which led some people to speculate about another possibility. Ringing phones are sometimes linked to what investigators call phantom calls, strange events where disconnected phones ring or pick up signals that can't easily be traced. Of course, there are still many possible explanations, from unusual wiring in the walls to interference coming from nearby lines. But when a phone that shouldn't have power suddenly starts ringing in the middle of a quiet house, it's hard not to wonder who or what might be trying to call. And the strangest part? Even after all the attempts to answer it, no one has ever been on the other end of the line. Now in this next video, a man named Nate, someone already recognized for the strange activity that has been happening inside his home, records something unsettling while visiting a cemetery for work. At first it was faint, like something shifting or moving at somewhere between the rows of graves. Since he knew he was the only person there at the time, the noises immediately put him on edge. Watch this.
I heard you over there. I heard you moving around. Let me know you're here. Close that door. Yes, this is your cemetery, I know. I'm just trying to keep it nice for you. Keep it maintained and looking nice, out of respect. I'm not trying to So I'm hearing shuffling now. It sounded like it was behind the cement mixer. Fast footsteps or something that was back there. Clearly you can see there's nothing back there. So, not sure what that was. Gotta reach behind there. Alright then. That. A rainy day up here. You gotta love it. I swear, anytime the weather is like this, weird shit happens. So let's hope today is not one of those days. There's that thing. Holy f***. Yeah, that's just right? Hell no!
The area around him seems quiet, but the sounds continue, almost like someone slowly moving nearby while staying just out of sight. Nate tries to brush it off and continues filming, but the uneasy feeling never really leaves. Later in the video, after it gets darker, something even more disturbing appears. If you look closely beside the window, there's a faint figure standing there. It's difficult to make out clearly, but the shape is just visible enough to resemble someone watching from the side. And there's another detail many viewers didn't notice the first time. Earlier in the video, before the scene near the window, a shadowy figure can be seen standing outside in the background. The shape is dark and still, blending into the surroundings, which is probably why it's so easy to miss at first. After seeing the footage, many viewers started connecting it to the strange experiences Nate has already shared from his home. The unexplained scratches he sometimes wakes up with, objects being thrown across rooms, and sharp items suddenly moving without explanation. Because of that, some people began wondering if whatever has been causing those disturbances might not be limited to his house. Maybe it followed him, or worse, maybe it started somewhere else entirely. Cemeteries have long been associated with stories of restless spirits and lingering energy, places where the line between the living and the dead is often believed to be thinner than usual. So the question many people asked after watching the video was simple. Did Nate unknowingly bring something back with him from the cemetery that night? Or had it already been with him long before he ever stepped foot there? Again, I'll leave you to be the judge.